Namaste everyone. Today in this video you are going to understand about fourth semester spotters. In question paper you have page, column, chromatography, charts like conjugation, transduction and transformation. Okay. Here you can see the question paper BTP 402 molecular biology. Okay. Question number 1 is extract and estimate the amount of protein from material A, animal or plant source by organic solvent method or salt filtration method, which carries 14 marks. Question number 2, estimate the amount of DNA or RNA from the given material B. This carries 10 marks. Now today we'll be going through the third question, identify and comment on the spotters C and D, which carries 3 marks each. So total 6 marks. Okay. So here identification carries 1 mark and comment carries 2 marks. Now let us go through the spotters. Okay. Spotters you have page. Okay. First let us go through the spotter page. Before going through page, let us also understand this. Some information about electrophoresis. Electrophoresis is the migration of charged particles or molecules in a medium under the influence of an applied electric field. The rate of migration of charged molecules depends upon the following factors like the strength of electric field, size and shape, relative hydrophobicity of the sample, ionic strength and temperature of the buffer, molecular size of the taken biomolecule, net charge density of the taken biomolecule, shape of the taken biomolecule. In the process of electrophoresis, large molecules have more difficulty in moving through the supporting medium, that is in gel, whereas smaller medium has more mobility through it. SDS means sodium dodecyl sulfate polyacrylamide gel electrophoresis. Okay, SDS page is used to separate proteins according to their size. This is one of the most powerful techniques to separate proteins on the basis of their molecular weight. Now let us go through the applications of SDS page. SDS page has many applications. It is mostly used for the following purposes. First one, establishing protein size, protein identification, determining sample purity, identifying disulfide bonds, quantifying proteins, blotting applications. Advantages of SDS page like mobility of the molecule is high and separation is rapid. All the proteins are negatively charged, therefore all migrate towards anode. The proteins treated with SDS fixed dyes are better than the native proteins. SDS solubilizes all proteins including very hydrophobic and even denatured proteins. Now let us go through the practical procedure of polyacrylamide gel electrophoresis. The glass plates were washed in warm detergent solution, rinsed subsequently in tap water, okay, deionized water and ethanol, and then spaced strips were arranged approximately at the sides and bottom of the plates. After drying all that, you can fix this particular plates. The notched inner plates were laid in position, resting on the spacer strips, and the arrangement was mounted vertical. APS and TEMED were added just prior to the pouring of gel. The solution was mixed well and poured into the space between the two plates, leaving an inch of the upper space unfilled. The gel mixture was allowed to polymerize, undisturbed at room temperature for 60 minutes. In the meantime, gel mixture is stacking gel was prepared. After the separating gel was polymerized, the overlaid water was removed carefully with filter paper and an appropriate comb was inserted between the plates. 0.1 ml of 10% APS and 10 ml of TEMED were added to the stacking gel mixture. It was mixed well and poured immediately to brim over the separating gel. The stacking gel was allowed to polymerize. Additional gel mixture was added when the gel retracted significantly. The required volume of the sample buffer was added to protein samples and they were loaded. The final concentration of sample buffer in the prepared sample should come to 1x. If the protein was dried, suspended it in 1x buffer. The samples were incubated for 2 minutes in a boiling water bath prior to loading. The gel was attached to the electrophoresis tank using appropriate clips or clamps. The lower reservoir was filled with 1x electrophoresis buffer. The protein samples were loaded using a micropipette and the wells were completely and carefully filled with 1x electrophoresis buffer. The upper reservoir was also carefully filled with 1x electrophoresis buffer. The electrodes were connected to a power pack. The gel was run at constant current, that is 20 milliampere, 100 volts for 4 to 6 hours at room temperature. Now let us go through the column chromatography. Column chromatography is one of the most useful methods for the separation and purification of both solids and liquids which carry when carrying out a small scale experiments. The separation can be liquid or solid absorption, okay, adsorption or liquid partition, okay, in column chromatography. The stationary phase, a solid adsorbent, is usually placed in a vertical glass column and the mobile phase is added from the top and left flow down through the column by either gravity or external pressure. Column chromatography is advantageous over most other chromatographic techniques because it can be used in both analytical and preparative applications. Column chromatography isolates the desired compounds from a mixture in such a way that the mixture is applied from the top of the column. The columns are usually glass or plastic with sinter frets to hold the packing. The liquid solvent, that is eluent, is passed through the column by gravity or by the application of an air pressure. The eluent, instead of raising by capillary action by a thin layer, flows down through the column filled with the adsorbent. Equilibrium is established between the solute adsorbed on the adsorbent and the eluting solvent following down through the column. Stationary phases are almost always adsorbents. Adsorbent is a substance that causes passing molecules or ions to adhere to the surface of its particles. The mobile phase is a solvent that flows past the stationary phase, dissolving the molecules of the compounds to be separated some of the time. Because the different components in the mixture have different interactions with the stationary and mobile phases, they will be carried along with the mobile phase to varying degrees and a separation will be achieved. The individual components or elutants are collected as solvent drips from the bottom of the column. Many compounds are not visible to the eye when dissolved in a solvent or adsorbed on an adsorbent. Visualization process make these substances visible. The used techniques for this purpose include UV lights that cause fluorescence or phosphorescence and chemical reactions that give colored compounds. Next, let us go through the spotter. Conjugation. In bacteria, conjugation is a method of gene transfer between individuals either by direct cell-to-cell contact or across a small gap called a mating bridge. That is the transfer of genetic information between individuals who are not parent and offspring. The mechanism of conjugation usually involves the fertility of plasmid. The plasmids are circles of extra chromosomal DNA which can offer both genetic advantages and disadvantages to their bacterial host. The advantages including antibiotic resistance, tolerance to environmental toxins, and the ability to use new metabolites. The fertility plasmid is about 100 kilobase long. Bacteria in possession of an F plasmid are known as F plus strains, while those without it are known as F minus strains. Okay, it means here bacteria which possesses of an F plasmid are F plus strain and absence F minus strains. When conjugation is initiated by an enzyme called relax, working either independently or with numerous other proteins in a complex called relaxosome, creates a nick in the DNA at the origin of transfer variety of the conjugative plasmid. The nicked strand or T strand is separated from the unbroken strand and transferred to the recipient host in a 5' to 3' direction. Nicking the DNA also leaves a free 3' hydroxyl group for rolling circle replication of the plasmid. DNA replication then occurs in both bacteria involved, wherein the donor, the leading strand is synthesized, and in the recipient, the lagging strand is also synthesized. On the completion of replication, the DNA strand is nicked at a nick site and the two DNA molecules are separated, allowing the DNA in the recipient bacterium to circulate. The bacteria then separate, each containing a full copy of the conjugative plasmid. Plasmid transfer is prevented between two F plus individuals because of surface exclusion molecules on their membranes, which prevent recognition of the cell by a sex pilus. Can make out here the conjugation between the two bacterial cell. This is donor F plus and this is the recipient F minus. You can see here this is the conjugation tube. F plus factor, okay, and here this is the F minus. We can see in both the bacterial chromosomes. Okay, after the conjugation, okay, so the rolling replication, out of the conjugation, you'll be able to see in the F minus bacteria also it has become into F minus, F plus. So earlier it was F minus, now it has become F plus after the conjugation. Here you can see F plus factor transferred to the bacteria. Now let us go through here transduction. Okay. In bacteria, transduction is the process of DNA transfer from one bacterium to another mediated by a virus. The technique of transduction is often employed by molecular biologists to introduce foreign DNA into bacterium using viral vector. Transduction is one of few processes, including conjugation and transformation, by which foreign DNA may enter a bacterial cell. The recipient cell of transduction process is called transductant. The transduction occurs because an invading bacteriophage hijacks the bacterial chromosome, either to remain dormant during the lysogenic cycle or to create progeny during the lytic cycle. Recombination between the bacterial cell and viral genome sometimes causes the virus to carry with it the DNA of previous host, which can then be introduced into new bacterial host later down the line. There are different types of transduction, notably generalized and specialized transduction. Generalized transduction may occur in one of the two ways. Chromosomal DNA from the bacterium is accidentally encapsulated in the viral capsid as the virus creates its new progeny. In headful packaging, spare capacity in the viral genome is made up using bacterial DNA, a process mediated by the viral packing mechanism. In both cases, the recombined bacterial DNA may enter a new bacterial host when the virus moves on to infect another bacterium. In essence, transduction is thus a sexual process between bacteria that is mediated by viruses. When the bacterial DNA is inserted into a new bacterium by viral infection, it may fall into one of the three random fates. Here you can see the generalized transduction. In the exam, you are going to get this particular picture, okay, spotter. as spotter, you should be able to identify this as generalized transduction process. The DNA may be observed, degraded and recycled spare parts, that is nucleotides, etc. If the DNA was born of plasmid, then it will be recircularized to form plasmid again in its new host. The DNA has homologous region in the chromosome of its new host. The recombination between the foreign DNA and the chromosome will occur. Lysogenic generalized transduction could also occur in two possible scenarios. Either where the viral genome has a random site of integration and an erroneous excision process leads it to carry some bacterial DNA with it, or where the viral genome is activated into lytic cycle and random incorporation of bacterial DNA subsequently occurs. Specialized transduction refers specifically to the transfer of DNA that is adjacent to the site where a prophage inserts itself into the bacterial genome. This is caused by indirect removal of the lysogenic phage when it is converted to the lytic cycle such that it carries some bacterial DNA with it. The fate of such DNA may be absorption and degradation or homologous recombination with subsequent hosts as described above. Or alternatively, the bacterial DNA may behave as if it is part of the virus, causing it to be replicated multiple times with the phage genome. Now let us go through the transformation. In bacteria, transformation is the alteration of a cell by the uptake and expression of exogenous DNA. It can occur naturally or by artificially induced in the laboratory. Bacteria which are capable of transformation either naturally or artificially are said to be competent. A bacterium whose genetic constitution has been altered by transformation is called transformant. Conjugation and transduction are other genetic processes that may transfer DNA between bacteria. The eukaryotic equivalent of transformation is called transfection. Here you can see the diagrammatic representation of transformation. During the examination, you will be able to receive this kind of chart. Once you receive this chart, you should be able to identify this as transformation. So spotter is identified as transformation. You must write. Natural competence is the term referring to bacteria which can take up exogenous DNA by natural means. About 1% of bacterial species are naturally competent in the lab, and many more show natural competence in their natural environments. Natural competence occurs because some bacteria carry genes that express the proteins needed to transfer DNA across cell walls and membranes. Artificial competence is the ability of bacteria to be transformed as a result of laboratory processes that make the bacterium permeable to DNA by exposing it to non-natural conditions. Calcium chloride transformation is one method used in the lab to produce artificial competency cells are chilled in the presence of divalent cations such as calcium ions, which as CaCl2, which prepare membrane to permeable to plasmid. Then the cells are briefly heat shocked to 42 degrees Celsius for 30 to 100 seconds, allowing the DNA to enter the cells. This method works very well for circular DNA, but not so well for the linear DNA, such as chromosome fragments. Probably because the linear DNA can be degraded by the cell's own exonuclease enzymes. Interestingly, however, naturally competent bacteria transform linear DNA more efficiently than circular DNA. Another method called electroporation involves exposing the cells to brief shock of 10 to 20 kilovolt per centimeter, which creates holes in the membranes for DNA uptake. This is particularly useful when transforming bacteria with large plasmids. For example, the holes are then swiftly repaired by the cell's membrane repair mechanisms. Hope you understood today's explanation about SDS page, column chromatography, transduction, conjugation, and transformation. Gender is given too much importance. We should be able to see humans just as humans. Thank you for watching this video. I, Dr. Pratibha K, signing off for today. Stay blessed. Stay tuned with me. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you.